proper for the folks at home. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Squawk and Seeds podcast, your favorite Pokemon podcaster's favorite Pokemon podcast. My name is Kyle Cooper Rios. I am joined, as I am every week, by my buddy, the Pony Bottle Champ, with a fresh haircut, Mr. George Fabre. George, how are you doing today?
What up? What up? Yeah, no, I mean, I got a haircut last week, bro. It ain't that fresh. It's already coming
Fresh
in.
enough.
I had to shave this morning. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, but I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and we are joined once again, fresh off of a trip from down under. Everybody's favorite rocket scientist, my favorite rocket scientist, returning to the show once again after a sick run at the Melbourne Regional Championships. Mr. Michael Breyer, as known by some, but Mr. Michael B.O. joining us today. Mike, good to have you back on the show. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Mr. Koopa?
I'm doing good. George sounds like he's underwater. That's fine. It'll happen. It's
Interesting. How do I sound now?
You sound fine now. I think it's just Discord being Discord and compressing stuff.
It could be better. Okay, I'll put up my mic. Perfect.
It's fine. We'll figure it out. Yeah, so we're back here with another episode. Mike asked us very nicely at probably at 5 o'clock in the morning if he can come back on the podcast after a covert run in Australia this weekend. So we're happy to oblige to talk about what I think is one of the more fun decks to come out of standard format the last few weeks. But we'll ask the question we do every week, and I'll start with Mike because somebody went to work today. Mike, how are you feeling? Fresh off of a work day and still probably jet lagged as hell right now.
I feel miserable. Like, actually genuinely miserable. The only reason I'm awake right now is thanks to a 30-minute power nap I just woke up from.
God bless you. I can't do 30-minute naps, man. I can't. It's just when I take naps, it's like small comas. It's like 2-3 hours at minimum. I just can't do it.
I used to do them a lot when I was in college, just like in between class and stuff, but now that I'm a working professional, those don't really work. I've kind of mastered the art, though, of zoning out and like turning my brain off for like 20 minutes.
George turns his brain off all the time, actually. So.
Yeah, my brain is permanently off. Actually, it works out very well.
Georgie, how was your day going today?
Man, another day in the life of a sales manager, just putting out fires and trying to make everybody motivated. And I think I succeeded. I don't know. I had some good phone calls with some reps. Everybody's just, they're all feeling it. End of the month is coming, and they all need to get in their deals. And yeah, that's boring sales stuff, but it was a crazy day, nonetheless. But I'm good. I'm ready. I'm excited to talk to Mike. I really, really want to hear about Australia. A little context: my sister's boyfriend is from Melbourne, and they go to Australia like almost every year or every other year. So I hear a lot of stories. So, Mike, how was Australia in a whole?
It was really fun. I was able to go see the city before the event. My friend lives in Berwick, which is a little bit further away. But when we went from the airport, we were able to see the Albert Park racetrack, which I'm a huge F1 fan, so that was really cool. I took a bunch of pictures. I was able to go stand on the podium, which was awesome.
Cool.
And then just driving through the city, it was pretty cool. And then we got to Melbourne on Friday morning, and we were able to kind of go just walk around, see what's going on. The city's pretty cool. Got to see the train station that they have. A bunch of their cool buildings. Yeah, so it was pretty cool. And then after the event, we went down to Phillip Island to see where the penguins come in. And then we went to I think it was called Moonlit Sanctuary, where we see a bunch of other Australian wildlife. And then we also when we were still in the city, I went to the aquarium, which was awesome. Which I like aquariums, but ironically, I've never been to the aquarium in Charleston, like a quarter mile from where I live. So, yeah.
You should have went to the aquarium in Atlanta. The aquarium in Atlanta was fantastic.
Dude, I should have went to the aquarium in Baltimore. That apparently was the best aquarium ever.
No, I've been to both. I'm telling you, the one in Atlanta is better.
Wow.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all I know is that I wanted to go in Baltimore, but a certain mod in Twitch chat was mad annoying, and he decided that he didn't want to go.
We were gonna go
to
on.
the fucking aquarium. Why do we have to go?
We were supposed to go, but I think we were trying to do too much on the Friday we got there, and we decided to cancel that. I love that one of the constants across our friend group is just we all really just like the aquarium, which I find very.
It's kind of funny, right?
It's very funny.
We just want to see fish. Let's
Yeah,
screw the Pokemon. Let's go see some fish, dude.
yeah. Let's go see some
Not
freaking
the
fish,
band.
man.
Live fish.
Yeah,
Not
real
the
fish.
band. Still, yeah. The
animal.
yeah.
I will be attending the aquarium in New Orleans, so I'll let you guys know how that goes. I'm very excited about it, but yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed your trip. Shout out to penguins also. That also appeals to a very tender part of my brain. Penguins are awesome, as you can see by my ice cube rug that I got on the back of my wall over there. So
Yeah, we can barely see it, but it's there. Sure.
My computer is barely charging, so we'll see what we got to work with. But
There it
It's
is.
fine.
I have to use my I have to use my laptop because my desktop doesn't have a camera. So
Bro's business first. All right, I guess we'll just get into Fish the Band sucks. Shout out to Anthony M and the other Anthony in our friend group in the chat. What's it called? Let's talk a little bit the nitty gritty here. At what point did you decide over the course of your season, Mike, that you were going to attend not just an international regional, but one on the other side of the world? Because these flights are not cheap and easy to take. So at what point did you decide during your grind for Worlds that this was going to be a stop on your trip?
well, ironically, I didn't even need it for Worlds because I was already locked before the event. But it was in March where a bunch of my group wanted to just we were like, all right, might as well go because I have my friend Jake Lazari lives there, and he was like, dude, you guys should just come. I was like, well, I've always wanted to go to Australia. I wasn't able to go in college because study abroad, it got canceled because of COVID, and I've always wanted just to go. And then when they canceled OCIC, it was pretty unfortunate because I was planning on going in last year. But now I kind of had the time, I had the money where I could kind of go on a little trip, and I had the PTO built up, so I was like, might as well, the time is now. And then Ian, Rob, and Charlie Lockyer were supposed to come with me, but they ended up bailing. So I was just it was just me, and I was like, dude, I'm still coming, who cares? And I knew the Australia regionals are they're much smaller. That was actually this was the biggest OS event ever, and it was actually the smallest event I've ever played in terms of a major. And it was, I mean, the major was just kind of a bonus. I was gonna go regardless, but it was just okay, well, if I do well, I pay for my trip basically. And if I don't do well, then who cares? I'm still in Australia. I'll live, right? There's a casino right around the block. I'll figure it out. But it also helped that because it helped that we did really, really well at Milwaukee, which I'm sure we'll get into. And I kind of just wanted to play the deck again. I was really close to just playing Charizard, but yeah, it was just the deck. The thing is the deck literally the week before or 2 weeks before in Milwaukee, I did pretty well and I was okay with it. But yeah, but to go back to your original question, just in March, and I was like, might as well go, and it turned out to be a decent move.
I think that the coolest thing about playing the Pokemon TCG competitively gives you a great excuse to travel, and
Yeah.
It's not every day you pick a reason to go to Australia. There's more reasons to visit Australia other than go compete in a regional, but with the added bonus that you have something to do while you're there other than just sightseeing and traveling and have a chance to win money. And, I think that's the coolest part for you though, Mike, right? We do all these regionals and obviously I stink, right? I'm probably not making money, but, you actually have the opportunity to do well enough to be in contention to cash these events. And that makes it even more worth it. So I'm just curious, you don't have to give us an exact figure, but how much of your winnings actually did cover your full trip?
So it actually covered for 100% of it.
Wow,
So
that's
in
awesome.
terms of my flight, so I booked according to Brent Iman, the GOAT, he told me that I should have booked it like a month earlier and he would have gotten me $1,000 flight. But I ended up doing one stop from Charleston through Dallas, and it cost me $1,500 after taxes. And then in terms of my accommodation and stuff, I was able to stay with my friend Jake, and so that took a big chunk out of it. We did get an Airbnb, a really nice Airbnb right by the venue, which was cool. Um, and then in terms of all my other, like in terms of the food and stuff, fortunately Australia, like their currency is shit. So the USD was really strong. So the 2 grand that I won plus the 500 in Surging Sparks boxes actually covered for 100% of my trip. So I
That's
literally got a free
amazing.
trip to Australia.
Hell yeah. Love to see that.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your run in Milwaukee where you got a top 64 with this same deck archetype with a couple cards difference. And you finished in a sim cut at 11th place this weekend. So talk a little bit about your Milwaukee run. I'll give you the floor for that, and then kind of talk about where your game plan was in the cards that you did choose to change going to Australia.
Yeah, so we worked on the Milwaukee deck quite a bit. Ian really wanted to play it, and I played Raging Bolt to Atlanta, which obviously Raging Bolt won Milwaukee, but like I just didn't enjoy playing the deck because one thing that I like everyone knows, like I love Charizard, and one thing that I like about Charizard a lot was just the ability to be able to have like really big comebacks, specifically through the use of Dusknoir and Briar. Now, Dusknoir decks, the only real Dusknoir deck that's viable at the moment is Dragapult, which is like a totally different style of deck, which I didn't really enjoy. But like the tutor nature, kind of the combo nature of Noctowl, and also being able to still use Briar, along with like the toolbox of Sylveon and Flareon, made the deck really appealing. And like the deck is pretty hard, and I picked it up a little bit over a week before the event because I was gonna play Gardevoir. I spoke to like Brent a lot about the deck, but I just like didn't feel confident in Mirror. And the deck just felt super like I don't know how this guy opens with Secret Box every game, dude. Like I don't know. Like if I open Secret Box, sure, but I never opened it. And like the hands were just like so bad. But yeah, so I picked it up and I played. It's really interesting how this deck is because I picked it up and I played it on ladder and like the deck just did not work. I could not win a game. I lost like 10 games in a row playing it. You were able to just like the crystal gave you so much more ability just to do everything you wanted. Like the stamp is just such a cope card. One card also that we had tested a lot was the glass trumpet, but we found a lot of the time just like you weren't using glass trumpet nearly as much. Like if you were just smart with your crystal, you would just save it for your last attacker, and you'd be able to build up an attacker like out of nowhere as well, right? Like if you save your crystal, you could use trap. You just go like trap energy plus crystal, and then you can go CC Briar off of like 2 Noctowls or whatever. Um, and that was really appealing for the deck. And I kind of like didn't test as much as I should have for Milwaukee, but it was one of those events where I was like, all right, I'm just gonna kind of show up and figure it out. And it definitely showed by tying my first round against Gardevoir. This guy was actually the worst player on planet Earth. But like in game one, I sat there and like tried to Angel Light way too many times, and eventually like I lost because I didn't really do anything. And I somehow like miraculously won game two by because he just did nothing, and then we tied. And then I won out until um, I think it was round 11 against no round 10. I hit Brent because I hit him at 8-0 and 1. Yeah, so I literally won out. It was pretty sick. I did get like a little bit lucky, like against Josh Frank. I beat him because in game one I like full bricked. He was playing Terra Box. In game two he didn't read Magical Charm, so when I Magical Charmed his Pikachu, he didn't switch it out, and then he went to like Boss KO my Fez, but it only did 200, and that like instantly lost him the game. And then in
Oh.
game three I was able to just to beat him. Um, Also, I beat Karis Jones at the last round of day one, and she got like pretty lucky in the game that she beat me because I think I don't remember exactly, but I think I was unable to or I think I missed like turn one fan rotom, and then she was able just to kind of like build up her board, and then I missed like a boss KO on Sylveon or boss KO with Sylveon with Clefairy to win. And then like in turns in game three, I was able to just Kieran Trapagos through her what's it called? Through her Ursulina, which was good. And then yeah, I did. Although like in day two, my matchups were like pretty like weird because like so I hit Owen on playing Dragapult Dusknoir. His prizes were pretty bad in both of our games, and I did get like mildly lucky where I opened with the God board twice with Sylveon with Latios in play, but no evolutions. So he literally could not do anything to like Budu stall me because I just retreat back into Sylveon. So then I beat him like I'm definitely maybe I was feeling good. Of course, the win at table one is really nice because I got the up pair because he was 8-0. And then I got my like face smashed in by Brent. Like I knew the matchup was bad, but obviously I'm playing against the best player with the best list, and it was yeah, it was pretty rough. In game two, I was like super flustered, and like I went to like Noctowl and I grabbed counter catcher and we were even on prizes. Like that's how bad it was,
Oh.
and it definitely didn't feel good. But then I also then in the next round I tied against the Dragapult Dusknoir. I got really lucky that because I full bricked in like two of our games, and in game three like to tie. And then of course I hit Gardevoir, another guy on the win it into ASIM, which was like really annoying because I full bricked in both our games. Like I missed turn one fan and I just did nothing. It was so bad. Which that was like really disappointing because like I definitely thought like if I because obviously like okay so Ian's matchups in day two were two Raging Bolts and a Golden Go. So like the deck was still like good and we had a really good matchup spread, but that just like kind of made me feel really bad. Like obviously Ian got to top eight, which of course like I mean I don't have one yet and I'm like dying for it, but you know, I was kind of like I put myself there, and it's kind of like you got to make your own luck, and sometimes it's not your day, and it just wasn't my day. Like at the end, so I was a little bit upset, and I was like I wasn't upset because like obviously the finish is fine, but like missing cash after starting 8-0-1 feels like
Yeah.
atrocious, which is just kind of like the system more than anything. So I definitely like just wanted to play at least one more event. I was like happy I was playing one more event in this format. I actually almost booked Portland yesterday, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
That's
So
like the
overall, like
biggest thing, right? When you're doing well with a deck, and you're just like, I really want to play this one more time to a
Yeah.
major,
well,
but
yeah,
like,
exactly.
but that'd be crazy to go to Portland and this short notice.
I
Literally
mean, it wouldn't be
tomorrow.
that crazy. It wouldn't be that
I mean,
crazy, but like it was one of those things where the only reason I was going to go is because the weather in New Jersey's bad for Memorial Day this weekend. But
Yo,
I've been informed
true.
that the weather on Sunday and Monday is going to be nice, so I was like, all right, I'm coming home anyway.
We're
And
so
it's like
back.
good, you know, and I kind of need a weekend off because like I don't need to go, but I just kind of would want to. But basically, like after Milwaukee, all of us kind of agreed that the deck was still really strong, but the God of War matchup was a concern. And in actually playing the matchup, there were so many times where my opponent would just shove Gardevoir EX active, and I wouldn't really be able to do anything. Now, the only way to get through that typically is to go Kieran plus Carnelian to KO that. But if you Kieran, like it's kind of hard to pull that off, especially when they're just like hard targeting all your EVs down. And if you do that, you can't use Briar. One thing I found that was pretty reasonable was that if they like don't draw insane, you're pretty easily able to go up two prizes every time. And then when they inevitably shove the Drifloon in your face, um, you're able to KO that for one, and then you kind of have an option where if they have like a really weak board and they KO you with Drifloon, if you're able to use Sylveon, you can Angelite in the Gardevoir EX and like a 5 energy Drifloon or like a 6 energy Screamtail or something. Specifically if they're down their Secret Box and multiple Ultra Ball because it's hard for them to get all that energy back into the discard pile, particularly after an Iona to low. But what you can also do, just kind of race them, is that if you KO the one, like if you KO the one prizer, you can then go
yeah,
counter catcher plus Briar with Umbreon onto the Guard EX. Or if they shove Guard EX and they don't know you have it, you just KO with Umbreon, and then you can just go like Briar plus KO on the little guy, or you just go Gust Pheasantipity, because this is a matchup where they're always putting down Pheasantipity. Um, so those are like two ways that make the matchup a little better. Now it's definitely still unfavored if they're able to get like turn two attack, and obviously Mind Bend is like really really annoying, but it's a matchup that's like actually playable with the Umbreon, and I definitely was like sold on playing it. The only other change that I made was so we cut the Kieran for it just because like Kieran is good, but every other card in the deck I liked way more. Um, and it was just something that I was like, you know what, I can live without Kieran, especially because I expect less Dragapult because I'm playing with most Oceania players and a bunch of Japanese players. And I would be highly skeptical, or I'm like, I highly doubt that the best Oceania players and the best Japanese players would come and play Dragapult. And I was right. So that was actually like a pretty decent cut. Now, obviously, if I expect a lot of Gardevoir, I should have just played Charizard. But like, I actually need to beat all other matchups. Like, it's I need to beat them now. If I knew that top eight was going to be 5 Gardevoirs, different story. But you still have to get the top eight, right?
Yeah.
And then the only other change I made was just switching the third Water to third Lightning, just because you can use Onyx because like Lightning is in all 3 of the EV attacks, where Water is only in 2 of them now. So just correct to make that switch. You could also make the switch to Dark Energy, but I didn't have a fancy Dark Energy, so I just played the Lightning Energy.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, was there ever a time that you thought maybe playing a dark energy for that Onyx attack? Because like I could see it late game, but I could also see it like to set up Briar at some point as well. To only take a one prize for the turn.
Well, the thing is, Onyx, so I used it the most against walls actually this weekend because obviously we fold to like Melodic. So like because my main attacker in the matchup is Latias, which is really bad. But you don't really use Onyx that much. The Dark Energy is just like to help you use Moon Mirage and not have to use your Crystal, because like having access to Crystal whenever you want instead of forcing to save it for Umbreon is nice. Now, the thing is, like, no one there knew I was playing Umbreon, where now people will be a little bit more aware of it. So, if I just have, like, an Eevee with a Lightning Energy on it, you're not expecting me to go Umbreon the next turn, because what I could do then is I just go, like, on the 70 HP Eevees, typically, is what I have on the bench. I'll just go, like, attach any energy, Crystal, Umbreon, Gust, and then they're just like, oh, cool, I lose. And that won me, like, both of my games in Day 2 against Gardevoir. But also, like, the Crystal is nice, too, if you're going to use Onyx. So, Moon Mirage, you can use any energy, so it doesn't matter that much. But at least with using Onyx, like, one play you can do is you can go, like, Counter Catcher up, like, something like Fez or something to stall. And then you can use Onyx because it doesn't proc Fezandipity. And then on the following turn, you can go Crispin KO onto, like, if you have, like, a stranded Gardevoir EX active. And that's, like, a play that you can do in theory. But it doesn't really come up that much. That's something where if you're really far behind. But, again, like, you can't Crispin and Briar on the same turn, so it doesn't really come up that much, but it's just like a nice panic button, just kind of like an attack to have. So yeah,
Do you think like Umbreon, obviously good call for Melbourne. Obviously, the Australian players are kind of known to play Guardy, right? Like you kind of knew Guardy was going to be there, so playing Umbreon makes a lot of sense. But being with this NIC, coming up, if you were to play EV Box again, with Grimmsnarl, Marnie's Grimmsnarl in the format, and then, I think Enzorark might see more play. Do you think Leafeon is maybe the one-off that you put in there instead, or do you see maybe playing Umbreon and Leafeon to have more coverage ever, or is it just you can't fit all that?
So I think Leafeon would definitely be the card going forward, simply because of the Marnie Grimmsnarl plus like the inevitable uptick in Charizard. Now, I do think that like Umbreon is still really, really good against Guardy, but like Leafeon's first attack is also good against Guardy, because like if they overload something or they have a lot of monkeys in play, you can still KO the Guardy EX. They just need to you just need them to have a lot of energy in play, which is something that like still can reasonably happen, but it just makes it a little bit harder. And I haven't really tested the Grimmsnarl matchup yet, whether Leafeon is necessary, but obviously that's really good because they are definitely going to have a lot of energy in play. And obviously that attack is 1 less energy. In terms of Umbreon, like the card is still good, but whether or not you'd still play it is kind of up in the air. I mean, I don't really expect Gardevoir to go anywhere because the deck is still really good.
Right.
But it just kind of depends.
That's why I was asking, yeah.
Yeah. So I think like Leafeon, I would need to test Leafeon and see if it's worth it, because Charizard is like a hard matchup. Grimmsnarl, I expect to not be an easy matchup. Now, I definitely think it's like probably fine. But obviously, like just being able to delete a Grimmsnarl is really, really nice. Kind of in the same way you can delete a Gardevoir. I would honestly think like a second Turo for that matchup might be decent, but I'm not really sure if that's worth the space. I haven't really started testing for NAIC yet, but definitely gonna just kind of take our 60, because kind of like the same thinking as NAIC last year, where it's like, okay, this deck is still good, and the new cards are like good, but is there anything really stopping us? And what is the Grimmsnarl? What is the Because I think the Grimmsnarl is going to be the bigger archetype. Obviously, the Mewtwo is like there, but I don't really think Mewtwo is nearly as powerful as people think. I think the card is like, okay, but
it's
just
fine.
The power level is just not very high, right?
That's one of those cards that's going to be good in like a year and a half when all the other broken stuff rotates out.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the fun parts about like having like another like toolbox deck in the format, because coming into rotation, everybody's like, oh, Terra Box is was very popular given how powerful the knockdown engine was, and we were playing in a format without any bench barrier. Now we're getting bench barrier back, so that card, that deck archetype probably drops in play anyway. But I always like the EV box like on the surface, because you're doing other things like while you're using your attacks, like being able to like set up other Pokemon gives you, I guess, more room to play. You're not as reliant on your Noctowls to get you everything that you need. You can kind of stand your foundations a little bit stronger, and just having the option like tech in one of like several evolutions, that just might be best for for that given scenario, is pretty good. And I think my next question to you is, like, again, this is your first time playing in a regional overseas. Did you have to I know you got there like a couple of days early, given all the travel and everything. Did you notice like any sort of a difference in just like how you prepare for these things? Like if you were getting on a domestic flight to go somewhere versus like having to fly internationally and having to prep to play internationally?
No, in terms of tournament prep, honestly, I did like less tournament prep because I just wanted to relax and like enjoy my time. But in terms of like the time change, I really wanted to make sure that I got like some sleep. Like I tried to hard fix my sleep schedule. The problem was like before day one, I know day one's only 8 rounds, and I know it's gonna go quicker because there's less people. But I woke up at 5 a.m. before day one, which was really bad, and then I woke up at 3 a.m. before day two because like my internal clock was trying to like course correct as if I kind of pulled an all-nighter. So like my internal clock was super messed up. Fortunately, I was able to like try and go back to sleep, and I was like well awake. And usually what happens to me at events is I like in the morning I always play like shit. And I was like, okay, maybe for this event, since I'm so awake, I'll actually play good in the first couple rounds. And that was not the case.
The classic Michael Breyer tie in round one.
Oh my god, I tied Gardevoir in round one. I was so tilted. I was like,
Death Taxes and Mike tying is round one in a regional. Mark it down.
It's actually so foul.
Should we just mark you up for a tie now in NAIC? Should we just like go ahead and...
No. I'm going on no day one in NAIC, trust. But that was so bad. But one thing that I couldn't prepare me for was how small the tables were. So this was the same venue as OCIC in 2023. But the thing is, like, there's no stage. But the tables were so small. It was like 4 to a table, and literally I did not even have any room. I of course I'm playing an Area 0 deck, so I have more Pokemon on my bench, and literally my playmat didn't even have room to go on. Like people had overlapping playmats, so I had to like have my notes under my discard pile. It was so bad. It was actually terrible. And the worst part was that for day 2, it was the same thing. I'm staring at like 9 rows of tables that are just empty, and I'm like, why do we have to sit on top of each other? For day 2, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
It's like when you're like testing like going to a regional, you're like playing on like the Delta Lounge coffee table, and you have to just like like confine your space so much, except just that all the time.
Yeah, it was so bad. And then finally for cut, I like had room, and it was like so nice. Oh, and then of course I'm playing like a slower deck, so whenever my like neighbors would like finish, I would like move my stuff over, and it would be so nice. So nice.
Get to spread your legs a little bit. So.
Well, ironically, I actually like the tables were so small that I had to put my backpack on like in front of my feet, and I fucking rolled my ankle in round like 2 because I dropped my backpack on my foot. So like it's still hurting me, which is really funny because I did so much walking and all this stuff, and what freaking rolled my ankle was me like freaking sticking my bag under my feet. That's so like, annoying.
Not something that you could ever predict to happen in a regional. I mean, listen, I think the EV box, archetype there. Oh. Yeah, well, Nick was calling you out. He was saying that, you told him he put you on it. Is that true, first of all?
Nick said to play Leafeon because he saw it in one Japanese video. He just claims that he tells me everything because he'll tell me half of a really bad idea, like 2 weeks or like a month before, and then say, "Oh, I put you onto that." I'm like, "No, Nick, you said some random thing, and it just so happened that this one card was good."
Yeah. Well, that being said, we did talk about Leafeon being good. Is there any opportunity ever for any of the other evolutions, right? I think the only ones that aren't being played in any of the lists are Vaporeon and Jolteon. Do you ever see them having their own archetype
Hey, no love for
in the
Glaceon, bro.
list?
That card also
Oh,
sucks. Come on,
Glaceon,
bro.
yeah, Glaceon.
No.
That card's really bad, actually.
That card
I
stinks.
don't think so because like the only thing is like if they hit for some relevant weakness and they don't, and the cards like kind of suck. So definitely not.
Water hasn't really been good for a while, if you think about it.
Well, there's just no good like fire types. Like
Well,
there's no like
Palkia,
Legendary or something.
I guess earlier Palkia Tropicus was good, but
Well, we're
I
getting that
don't.
Mega Charizard set in September, so maybe it'll be good then. I don't even know what
Oh,
the card
true.
does, to be honest.
I don't think. I don't think
yeah.
we don't. Oh, what the Vaporeon does?
Yeah, what the Vaporeon
It
does.
does. I know. Like I know all the second attacks do 280, and you can't attack the next turn. I think the first attack, like, oh, what the fuck? It's some. I think it's something with damage counters because like you're supposed to pair it with Sylveon, or not Sylveon. Glaceon. It's too many freaking Eevees, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, maybe one of them because the Charizard probably won't be Dark type, almost certainly.
Um,
So
What's it
Might be
called?
colorless. Might be
All right,
flying type.
calm down. Relax.
It might be though. Who knows?
Mike, how does rolling your ankle on a backpack at a Pokemon regional compare to any of the injuries you may have experienced playing sports growing up?
not very high, but it was more annoying than anything.
Love to see it. I had another question in mind, but I blanked.
Brain farted. Hey, well, listen. I think it's just an awesome run, dude. Like we were all rooting for you. I was freaking refreshing, Arcanine like every single second during a symmetrical cut. I wanted it bad for you too, bro. Like, listen, I think it's just really cool to see like your kind of growth, right? Like there used to be a time where I'd play against you. I'm like, I'm going to beat Mike. Now I have no confidence in that whatsoever. But yeah, dude, it's just like, congrats to you, dude. Like you're putting in the work. Yeah, I'm proud of you, dude, and you deserve everything that you got going on. I want to talk more about NAIC. Obviously, none of us here are going to Portland. You said you're skipping out on that. What do you think is going to be the number one op for everybody going into NAIC that they need to have on their radar and make sure they're testing against?
I would say it's probably still going to be Dragapult solely because we're not getting Psyduck, so the deck like still doesn't like become any worse. I will say though the uptick in Gardevoir is probably going to be pretty significant, so I expect Gardevoir and Dragapult to be pretty clear 1 and 2. But it's hard. It's kind of hard to say yet. I think Marnie is really, really good.
Yeah,
But I
that's
don't
what I
think a
was
lot of the
thinking.
lists. Yeah, I don't think a lot of the lists though are very good right now. Like we have, I've been looking at a list that some of my buddies have been testing that seems like much more consistent than the Haru list. But like, think of it this way. Granted, like it's a slightly different format, but they were 4 guys on the same 60 of Marnies that got in the top 16 of a 5,000 player Champions League. Like that is really, really hard.
Yeah.
And that's like not something that should be understated, right? Because it's a deck that didn't see like a particularly high play rate, but it performed pretty well. So it's something that I'm gonna like start to test because like I still think the Gardevoir matchup is a little bit sketch, but if we can maybe fix that or do something about it, I think it'd be pretty good. But it's kind of hard to tell. The thing is, like the people, like players in America and like in the West in general, love playing Dragapult, even though the deck just gets is a continually worse and worse play as the format goes on. So it'll kind of be interesting to see where people land on it. However, I do think that if you're showing up to NAIC and your deck insta folds to Gardevoir, you won't win the event. You can probably make top 8, but you won't win the event because there's going to be a lot of good players playing Gardevoir. Now, I do think like a deck like Flareon, like yeah, it has a bad Gardevoir matchup, but it's like actually playable. And I was like pretty confident that I was going to beat Brent when I hit him in finals. And like I would have played against two other Gardevoirs on the way there, and I'm pretty confident I would have beat them. Like obviously, like it didn't work out. I got a little bit unlucky in ASIM, but like I think the matchup is a lot closer than people give it credit for. Like if you listen to Azul's pod, he just says like, oh, like you like he was talking about the deck. He's like, you just get stomped by Guardy. Like Umbreon's not cutting it, and I don't think he's played nearly as much of the matchup as Like, I don't think he's played nearly as much of the matchup to make that kind of conclusion.
A lot of
I
the
think you're gonna see
pundits
this
were
weekend-
shitting on the Umbreon. A lot of they did not see the vision.
Who?
Just like anytime like I like watched I think I was watching some stream or it might have been a Tricky Gym stream, and they were talking about just like EV Box in general, and then I think Jesse Parker was like, oh yeah, like a list that got top cut in Melbourne was playing the Umbreon, and they just kind of like glazed past it, like yeah, it's whatever. Like I don't think
Yeah,
people see
well-
the vision yet.
Andrew Mahone, that's why he only has one top 8 in the last decade with the worst Chen Palace ever, but whatever.
Peace.
That's okay. Also, Jesse Parker threw a Worlds win away because he wanted to go X and O in Swiss, but we don't have to talk about that. That's okay. But
Damn.
it's literally just fine. It's the same thing. People are disrespecting Charizard.
You're
forever.
getting our podcast beef already, bro. Jeez,
It's not
chill,
even beef.
chill.
It's just facts. But dude, listen, like people don't play the decks and people love to make conclusions. Like I'm kind of the same way, but at this point I also actually play the decks. So like, try before you knock it. But then again, also if you watch the same Tricky Gym stream, he was like
They're not
he
watching
was
this.
he had no idea what he was doing, playing Flareon, so it's fine.
What about Mewtwo? Any thoughts on the Rockets part of Destined Rivals?
Well, I think that the supporter engine is really, really strong, especially because you have Holland Transceiver, which is like just +4 cards of any supporter you want. But I think the Mewtwo right now is a little bit underpowered, specifically because Marnie's Grimace is another dark type that comes in, and like there's going to be an uptick in Charizard. So you now have like a shit ton of like Dark Winged that just insta blow you up. And I honestly just don't think the deck is just like that good. Like, yes, your supporter engine is really strong, but I just don't think you have enough good cards in your deck to justify playing that over something else. Like, I just don't think it's there. Like, honestly, I think Rocket's Porygon is better than Rocket's Mewtwo. That's not even a joke.
Yo,
So-
honestly,
I think,
that deck is kind of the Rockets Porygon. Not even kidding, is kind of cool.
The deck is really strong. But I think that deck will see a better time when Ignition Energy comes out in the World set. But there's going to be a whole lot more. We also don't know the full set for Worlds, and that's like a big, asterisk.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff, and I need to see Garbodor before I make any conclusions about anything.
Bring us Garbotoxin. I will be farming packs of Unified Minds and Cosmic Eclipse with the Rockets Porygon.
They're not
deck.
going to have that again. They're not going to have that again.
I don't listen, man. I don't know. I'm just saying.
we're
The
too
fact that
far
it
away
was
from
there,
it.
the fact that we were there it was there the first time blew my freaking mind.
We're
Literally
closer
on the
to
money
that
glitch.
set.
To be honest, these are also the same people that printed Lugia V-Star, they printed ADP, they printed Seismitoad. These guys have printed all this shit before. Would not surprise me one bit that they go back and print it again.
They're gonna bring it's gonna be Garbotoxin, but they have to attach like a special energy to it instead of a tool card.
I'd be okay with that because that means my gold enhanced hammer gets more use.
It's gonna be Garbotoxin with the Trash and Lance attack.
That would be crazy. I think that would be far too strong. Even if it's going to be on like Garbodor EX, I think it's far too strong to reprint that. But I'm also not a game developer, and I don't really like. It's kind of funny because you watch like a Zul stream, and he's like, "I'll time you out if you talk about like next rotation." But like, he's kind of right because like who knows like what is going on? Like, I need to see the full set list. I need to actually test the decks, and then I can make a conclusion whether or not something's good or not. Like. A good rule of thumb is just like if a deck is good now and nothing really changes, then the deck is probably okay next format. But it's like I don't know. I need to test it. Like talk to me in 2 weeks when I test
Unless
it.
you play Goldengo, in which I think things get much worse for you personally. But
I don't think that's 100% true. But it's a fine deck.
it's fine.
So how are we going to make Charizard work?
Put Secret Box in it and hope you don't hit Dragapult.
All right, let's do it. I'm down. Nothing feels good right now. I've been testing so much. I get it. I get what you're saying too. Like you came into the Discord the other day and you're like, "Why are you testing for NIC right now? It makes no sense." Just trying to get ahead of it, but I don't know. We couldn't make Zard
You
work.
can only you
do
can only
this-
get so ahead. That's the thing too. It's like
Well, okay,
Yeah.
George. Listen. The thing is about getting ahead is that we didn't even have the full set list. So who knows what's still coming out? Now that we have the pre-releases and we know the full set, now it's like fine. But it was a little bit it's just like hard to like when you put Zoroark and Charizard, I'm like, oh, we have to do this. It's like, well, not necessarily. Like, let's actually play this. Like, you kind of need to fraud test these other decks before you can dismiss them, right?
Yeah.
So you need to like play, okay, how unplayable is the Charizard Dragapult matchup? Like, if it's really unplayable, then sure. But you also need to look at like, if you think about last year at NAIC, the Dragapult matchup was really, really bad. But Dragapult was like a 7% deck that I dodged all day. And like if you dodge it, then you're chilling because you're favored into like all the other top decks. Like when 15 of the top 20 tables are Gardevoir mirror matches in day two. That's pretty good, right? So it's kind of like, okay, well, this one matchup is, but you have to think about how often you're actually hitting that matchup and how unplayable is it really. There's a lot that goes into it. And I think that just like assuming we have to take our Charizard deck and make it like the worst thing on planet Earth is not necessarily what like the conclusion we should jump to. But you kind of need to fraud test the decks, right? Because who's to say that the Brent 60 is not still like broken? Like sure we have Shaman and you could probably put Shaman in, but it's like who's to say that you can't just like play the same 60 and be fine, right?
Yeah,
I do think one deck that's super under the radar,
yeah,
Ryuki Okada and the Arai brothers, all the Japanese players, they played a really interesting Terra box that had Dusknoir in it. And I think that deck, they had Pidgeot and Briar, and I think that deck was really, really interesting. And I know that Keto tied Koos, or I think he lost to Koos in round one of day two. And then I sat actually next to his brother, losing on the winning in, because this guy was the guy who beat me in top 8. He like top decked Lily's Pearl and was able to like have a completely one prize board state and ended up winning him the game because the guy prized his Dusknoir. So that deck I think is really solid, specifically because you can with no Psyduck, you can Dusknoir the Shaman of other things, and a lot of decks that like now are really reliant on, for example, like Gardevoir. If you're playing against Terra Box, you're always throwing down like 3 Ralts and stuff. Now with the Dusknoir, you actually have like a little bit more play in being able to kind of prize race and get around the Shaman. I do think though that the deck kind of struggles with the Charizard matchup still, but I think it's a deck that I definitely want to test because I think just having the Pidgeot option is really, really good. Also, one thing that's really underrated is if you're playing Pidgeot in a Noctowl engine, you can play one TM evolution. So on your first turn going second, if you don't, I mean, I guess with Terra Box doesn't make as much sense because like if you go on your second turn, you kind of want to use your attack. But if you're getting item locked, you can actually Evo into your Pidgeot via Pidgeotto because you can fan call for Pidgeotto. But actually, I don't think it works that well in Terra Box. But that's a deck that I actually want to try out because I think that it has a lot of potential. Because like obviously Shaman means that Terra Box drops off, but if people start dismissing Terra Box, then the deck can become a good play again. I'm kind of like I will say though, one thing that's like a little scary is the Team Rocket's Watchtower, especially because it's so splashable.
That's what I wanted to bring up to you. Yeah, Watchtower I think is absolutely broken, and
good card.
I mean, especially against Noctowl decks, against Fan Rotom decks, if you can find it going turn 1, and they're playing a Noctowl engine and they have Fan Rotom that they're playing. I mean, it stops so many things. Fan Rotom, Noctowl, Pidgeot. I don't know. Like there was something else. There was another Pokemon that it stopped.
Saluna.
Blood Moon or Saluna. There you go. That was the one. And
the Dunsparce. Oh no.
Oh yeah, Dunsparce.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Sure. But one thing I want to bring up again, bro, like you were talking about Psyduck not being part of NIC's format, and something that Andrew and I have been constantly coming back to the conclusion, and that's why it's interesting what you're talking about, this Terra Box list. I think you have to abuse Dusknoir and that line in this tournament coming up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a massive fan of Dusknoir. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, no, anyone who knows me knows how much a fan of Dusknoir I am. Excuse me, just because like the effect is so broken. But it just is seeing playing the right deck. Like, obviously, I think Dragon Ball Dusknoir will be definitely the most played deck, if not like really close to the most played deck at NAIC Day 1. But I do think that there's potential to play in other stuff. I don't really know exactly what, but obviously, like Charizard is probably the best abuser of Dusknoir, just because you have Briar as well on top of your like insta nuke. But I think like the card is just like really good, and without Psyduck, the thing is like what Psyduck does, a card like Psyduck, it's the same thing as what was it? It's like Greninja Break, or basically a card where it's like the fact that it exists scares off a bunch of decks, but it's a high risk, high reward. Or Spiritomb is the other one, right? Although Spiritomb less so because you have Fusion Energy, which is like ridiculous and completely shuts it off. But
I miss it every day.
yep. Well, I miss Mew every day, but
God bless her.
the what a card like that does is it means that it makes other people like second guess playing a deck like a Dusknoir deck. Like for example, I use Greninja Break, right? Um, Greninja was like a really really strong deck, but if your opponent actually played the Tina promo that shut off all break abilities, you just got cooked, like it's over, right? But the fact that the Tina promo exists means that, okay, other people will play this tech card, therefore I don't have to play it because no one else will play Greninja. But then when you look at your pairings and you see that you're playing against Greninja and you don't have Tina promo, you're screwed. So it kind of has like this weird cycle. Same thing with Spiritomb, going to be the same thing with Drapion, same thing with the Psyduck, where it's like the fact that this exists means that my deck inherently becomes a worse play. But if people, it's what is it? It's like the sign graph with the Decidueye, where it's like if people don't play, it becomes a good play.
Yeah.
So I think it depends. Now the fact that we won't have it though means that it's completely out of the format. So something like all the decks from Japan mean you have to take it with a little more grain of salt, because all of these decks take a terrible Dragapult matchup, or a lot of them take a bad Dragapult matchup. And people in North America love playing Dragapult. So it'll just be interesting to see where it's like, if we expect other really good players to not play Dragapult, then this play that takes a sketch Dragapult matchup but beats everything else is now more reasonable, right? Because all about your reasoning. You're never going to find a perfect deck. I mean, you could find a perfect deck for the event, in which case, like that beats everything, in which case you're going to win. But that's really, really difficult, especially nowadays with like the information sharing. So it just kind of you kind of need to make a read on whether or not you think people are going to bring it or not. But that's, I think, more of a question for the World Championships, which will have Psyduck, I'm pretty sure, than NAIC, which won't.
Yeah.
Because now we kind of know what's going on, and there's going to be it's kind of where we just kind of get the addition of the Rocket Pokemon and the addition of like the Marnie and Stevens decks to our current format, rather than something coming in and being like, okay, this now deletes an entire archetype from the format.
I do want to go back and touch on something that Aiden asked in the chat of whether you think Watchtower will see broad play across a lot of deck formats. My answer is yes, just because I think that it's the most splashable out of all these cards and a lot of stuff. Like, I feel like a lot of decks are going to want to, again, as someone that played a lot of Mew VMAX, turn one Path to the Peak was crippling and horrible. So I think I don't know how high of a play you're going to see in that, because like you only have so many room for so many stadiums. So I think if you're a deck that plays like I'm just using like, what I'm familiar with, like Goldengo as an example, where you're gonna play like, a stadium to help you set your board up, and a stadium to help, and a tech stadium in some regard, whether it's like Jamming Tower or something else. I think that secondary stadium slot is probably gonna be filled by the Watchtower, but I'm still unsure, because like I look at these like you said, I look at these like City League lists with like such a grain of salt that like I don't really see a lot of them playing the Watchtower anyway, so I don't know how powerful these cards are going to be in the first place. So yes, you should buy 3,000 copies of it though, no doubt.
Yeah, I think we just play heavy skull lines with 4 Watchtowers in a deck, and that's probably what's good for the meta call for NIC. That's the formula.
I mean, people will play Watchtower. Yeah, people will play Watchtower, and it'll force Noctowl decks to probably increase their stadium counts. But I think like there's not nearly as much Pidgeot or Noctowl in the format that will warrant every deck to be playing it like Path to the Peak, where it's like you either abuse the colorless Pokemon, or it's like you either abuse your abilities or you play Path to the Peak, right? I don't think that's quite the format we're in, because like a deck like Dragapult Dusknoir, which completely ignores Watchtower, will still see play. And like,
that's a good point.
The Watchtower does nothing against that, right? So I think it all depends, and it depends on the format. Now it'll be interesting though, because with these sets specifically, the only event in the Destined Rivals format will be NAIC, and the only event or I think it's either going to be the only event or Worlds plus the first regional will be in the Fusion or White and Black set. So it'll be interesting to see that, or it'll be a little bit more impactful. because the World Championships. So specifically, the World Championships is just such a unique event because the meta or like the percentages of decks people play kind of changes drastically because now that the average skill level, especially for Worlds this year, because the average skill level of the player will, or the average skill or the skill level of the average player will be significantly higher in day one and throughout the tournament in general compared to something like NAIC. Because you can expect like NAIC, like there's a lot of people going that'll probably be their first ever event, right? And even more that'll be their first ever IC.
A lot of dudes on vacation playing Pokemon.
A lot of dudes on vacation, exactly. And you expect something at NAIC where people will just kind of play their comfort deck or like, you know, for example, like Raging Bolt, which is just like a good deck, but it's a lot simpler and it's much more appealing to other people. Where in the World Championships later this year, you won't have that. You'll have, you know, 700 players in the room that could play any given deck, or majority of them, right? There's obviously people that are frauds, but, you know, majority of people that can play any deck to a really high level, and it's just a matter of you got to make a right call. So I think it'll be interesting to see that because I'm not really sure. We have to see the full set, but I'm not sure if we're going to see the kind of dominance like Reggie Drago had at Worlds last year. I don't think that kind of dominance exists at the moment. Now, granted, again, we haven't seen the full set, so we don't know. Like, if Garbotoxin gets Trashalanche, or if Garbodo gets Trashalanche and Garbotoxin, then you can expect to see
good luck and Godspeed.
Trashalanche, 7 Garbodo decks in top 8, right? But, you know, that's all hyperbole. In terms of NAIC, though, I think it's going to be like a pretty good diversity, kind of like we had last year, and hopefully there isn't like 6 Gardevoirs in top 8, but I could easily see there being, you know, 5 to 6 Gardevoir in top 8. Because I do think like Gardevoir is the best deck in format right now. And I think people are just kind of coping by playing Dragapult. Because if you've ever played the BDIF in any format, you have to understand that like you don't have any favored matchups. Like very few, if any, right? Like, for example, when I started playing Charizard, it was the best deck in format. But the thing was that I was so confident in the mirror match, and I was just like confident in all of the matchups because as long as my deck functioned, I was winning games. Whereas now it's like that's more polarizing where it's like, okay, if I get Pidgeot in play, I win, right? It's literally that simple. If I put Pidgeot in play, I win. Unless like my deck stops functioning horribly or something, or I get like, you know, I get Roxanne into 5 energy and I can't
round one tie.
Burning Darkness, right? Nope, no round one tie in that event. But with like Dragapult, it's different because like your deck is so volatile, and the type of hate the deck sees is so different. Where the deck doesn't have like such a dominating matchup against a lot of other decks, so it's like okay, and a lot of decks just naturally take good matchups into it. Like Charizard, the format warped around it, where it's like it kind of warped around like, okay, we need to play the control to beat this. Otherwise, we're playing bad decks, like something like Lost Zone, which was a counter deck, that didn't beat Charizard. Something like Tina, I didn't think beat Charizard that often. Like, you know, how are you stopping me going like Roxanne, Radzard, and then they just kind of die, right? Where here it's like, okay, well, I'm playing against Raging Bolt, and I, you know, miss a Puffin, and now this Baby Bolt's going to delete my whole board. Or I'm playing against Sylveon, and they just continually shuffle my stuff in, and the one turn that I don't reset with Puffin or something, or I don't hit research, I just get all of my guys shuffled in, and I'm stuck with Hawlucha in my active, and I just lose, right? Decks like that, and even like Gardevoir, where it's like everything's hitting me for weakness. Decks like that, there's so much natural hate for the deck. Where I think that people, like, there's a reason why the Brent 60, like for Gardevoir, is so big, and so many people playing it. Just because that's a deck that, when it functions, it blows a lot of stuff off the board. So it'll be interesting to see people if they jump off the Gardevoir train, or they're just like, my deck is good, this 60 is really solid. Maybe we change, like, put Shaman in, 1 card change, that's it, and then we kind of go forward. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of how stuff develops and what people decide to do. For NAIC, since the event is so big, I think it'll be a little bit more unreasonable to have some like tech cards for like one-off matchups. But I would say like I would probably make a good bet that you'll play at least 1 to 2 Gardevoirs day one of NAIC, and you probably should be prepared to beat them. Otherwise, you're gonna have a very quick exit and entrance to Bourbon Street. Exit the venue, entrance to Bourbon Street.
Yeah. I think NIC in a whole, I think the key takeaway I got from that, Mike, was it's going to be too diverse to not play a deck that you just believe that you can win with. So I think ultimately that's probably where we're all going to land on that. But Kyle, I think it's time. We're at the hour mark here to kick it over to you to go into our final segment here.
Yeah, I think it's about that time for everyone's favorite show, Squawk or Seize, everybody's favorite this or that question game. We're gonna put Mike through the ringer of asking him picking his brain on a fun topic that I thought of on the car ride to work today. We will be asking Mike to Squawk or Seize various different things about the country of Australia. Again, you just spent some time there. You seem like you had a good time, so we're gonna pick your brain on some on some fun Australian stuff. Mike, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go first, and I'm just gonna give you a layup here. Are we gonna Squawk or Seize the koala bear? What is Michael Breyer's thought on the koala bear as a whole?
The koala bear is cool, but apparently they have chlamydia. And that's not cool.
What?
Yeah, apparently they all have chlamydia. So I'm gonna seize the koala bear.
Wow. Not the clap.
That's that would be starting Squawk or Seize talking about an STD.
Wow. Koala bears
You
got
asked
the
me about
clap,
koalas,
bro?
dude. That was like the first thing the fucking lady told me was that they all have chlamydia.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
That's amazing.
That's good.
All right. Let me pick something here that definitely cannot have chlamydia.
Careful.
So you were in Melbourne. So I don't know if you saw. Did you go to Sydney at all?
No, I didn't go to Sydney, just Melbourne.
Okay, so I was going to ask you about the Sydney Opera House, but if you didn't see it, I guess man, that threw me for a loop there. I guess I'll just talk. I'll ask you about the kangaroos. Are they that prevalent? And would you Squawk or Seize the kangaroo?
Well, I'll squawk the kangaroos. They were pretty cool. Like the ones in the wild, they're pretty massive. Like they're like 6'10" and like 280 pounds of pure muscle. Well, there's big ones, but then like when I was at the sanctuary, I was able to go up, like there were smaller guys. So there's like wallabies, which are mini kangaroos, and then there's just like regular kangaroos, but they're just like small guys. And I was able to like go and feed them, and it was pretty cool. They were like pretty chill. I did watch a kangaroo though. So like what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put like the feed in your hand, and then they like come up to you and eat it out of your hand. But like the ducks like are everywhere because it's literally like free food because like people spill. And also the Chinese people, bro, they would just kept feeding the ducks. I'm like, you're not supposed to feed the ducks, bro. They got to feed the guys. But I did watch a kangaroo. The duck got a little bit too close, and the kangaroo punched the duck in the face. It was really funny.
Those things are vicious, man. Like, because I don't know how true this is. Like, aren't kangaroos like deer in Australia, or they're just like everywhere?
Yep.
That's
because
crazy.
Apparently, like kangaroos will jump in front of cars and stuff.
Yeah, there's like kangaroo warning signs. I think I only noticed because I just watched a horror movie recently where there was like a kangaroo that got ran over by a car. It was
Yeah, it's like the same thing as like if you're driving on like 280 and you see a deer on the side of the road. It's like the same thing.
Ah, yes, it's like driving. Speaking of driving, that does transition nicely into my next question here. Are we gonna Squawk or Seize driving on the left side of the road with everything on the right side of the car?
Bro, hell no, bro. Seize that shit. That was so stupid. Dude, the amount of
that
times
shit
I
is
also
so
walked,
weird.
Dude, also the amount of times I walked to the right side of the car to get in, and he's like, "Are you driving?" I'm like, "No." It was just like so annoying.
Volvo tested the auto stop with auto king. I forgot. Is Volvo Australian? Like, are they based in Australia?
I have no idea. Probably.
I feel like I read that somewhere. Yeah, that would fuck me up, man. Like, George, I don't know how you felt about that going to Europe, but like, did you ever feel like, did driving anywhere ever like make you feel strange? They're Swedish, okay.
Well, in London, like they don't even drive on one side of the road. They just wherever side they feel like driving on like streets that don't have like like a divider on them. They'll just like drive on the right side sometimes, the left side. Sometimes it was bizarre. Driving, I couldn't drive outside the United States, I think.
I would hate
All
that.
right.
You can drive in Italy. In Italy, they're on the right side of the road. But the thing is, every car, like every rental car, is a manual. So you need to know how to drive stick.
No, I'm good.
Oh, God.
Fuck that noise. I'm good.
We're
Bro,
just,
what?
I'm seizing
Bro,
that.
you guys, bro, you're like 30. You need to be able to know how to drive stick.
yeah.
Actually, if I want to go on the Amazing Race, I need to learn how to drive stick. So I just need to figure that out later at some point. So
Yeah.
George, you're up.
What about this is I wonder if you tried this Vegemite Squawker C's.
Dude, Vegemite C's. That was the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life. It was actually like so bad. Like
What is
they
it
told me
like?
it was like really potent. It was just like this really potent thing that they were supposed to like put on bread. Like you put it on with butter, but it was
Yeah.
actually just so bad.
Ugh,
It was so bad. No, thank you.
I hate that. All right, we gotta pay respects to the big dog. Are we gonna Squawker C's the crocodile hunter Steve Irwin? You got any hot? How do you feel about the
bro,
crocodile
Squawk.
hunter?
Squawk. I saw a croc in the Melbourne Aquarium, and the dude was like 500 pounds. He was like 8 feet long. I was like, holy crap, that thing will literally rip you in half. And I think it's really funny though because there was like a lot of like the pack of like school kids around like the tank, and this guy was probably fuming because he's like, look at all these like bites. It was basically like probably chicken nuggets. He's looking at a 12-piece like McNugget meal, and it's behind a foot of plexiglass. So unlucky.
Yeah, I used to watch that guy. Like I went through the big Animal Planet phase when I was a child, and that guy rocks, man. Rest in power. God rest his soul.
Rip.
Yeah.
Let me all right, George, you got one more to send us home, or?
Yeah. What about this is a funny one. I hear that they do there. I don't know if you saw anybody do it. Drinking a beer out of a shoe.
Oh, Shuey.
Squawker C's.
A shoey.
Shoey.
I did not
Yeah.
see any shoeys. Unfortunately, I am a big fan of the shoey. I've done plenty myself. Only out of my own shoe though, never someone else's.
Yeah.
Um,
That's how the koalas go.
George. If I top it NAIC, I will do a shoey out of your shoe.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
we
you
gotta
want to do
no,
that.
we gotta do it. No, he has to. I'm locking.
Yeah,
him
but
in
George,
over
I'll be like $7,000 richer.
it. He'll buy you a new pair of shoes.
But then the thing is, I don't even know if I want you to do that because that's the thing about the shoey that I never understood. Because then you got to put the shoe back on, and you're just walking around with beer in your shoe.
Ain't that the magic of the shoey though?
I guess so.
That's how
I don't
the,
get it, though. Like, you might be pretty drunk and like fucked up to like, I was all worried that I got beer in my shoe. Let me even this out. Let's do another one in the other shoe.
Oh, George, I think listen. I'm okay at Pokemon, but I'm an even better. Like, listen, I'm like fairly okay at Pokemon, right? I think right now I'm like ranked like 38 in the world, but I'm like should be in terms of the leaderboards. I'm number 1 in the world in drinking. I am actually like a degenerate alcoholic. So I'm so excited to drink. This weekend. I'm literally drinking.
Doing a shoey out of somebody else's shoes. How the koalas got chlamydia? Actually, they just don't want you
Exactly,
knowing
probably.
That, so.
I've actually only had like 5 beers in the last like 12 days. So I'm on a real health kick right now. I didn't, when you guys asked me earlier, I forgot to mention that I went cycling today, and my ass is so freaking sore. No, like cycling class, yeah.
Oh, dude. So funny story. So my buddy from college, Roberto. So his girlfriend is from Canada, and she was like a Division I swimmer, and now she's like a cycling class teacher. So we went when I was up there for New Year's, and my God, like. I've never sweat like that in my life before. I literally, like, dude, we were like, not only are all these cycling classes like extremely sexual because it's all women, but like it's like unnecessarily sexual, right? But like 15 minutes in, I'm fucking drowning, and the worst part was that you did you clamp your feet into the pedals?
Yeah, that's the worst part because like if you like need a break, like I stood up, like I got a cramp in my thigh at one point, like in my quad, and like I was like I need to like I jumped up and I'm like I'm stuck in here, I'm freaking stuck in this thing.
Dude, what was even worse is I dropped my towel, so I'm sitting there for 30 minutes sweating my nuts off, having to wipe my face off with my shirt because I dropped the towel. Oh, it was so bad. It was so
Wait,
bad.
all right, real quick. So what are the parameters? So if Mike, if you get top 8 at NAIC, you're doing a shoey at a Georgia shoe.
If I caught NAIC, I'll do a shoe at a Georgia.
If you
right.
get top 8, you do a shoe out of my shoe. I'll do a shoe out of your shoe. How about that?
And I'll do a shoey out of your other shoe.
No.
So
No. You can do a shoe out of your own shoe. I don't want to have beer in my shoe.
Saying about the shoe. This is what I'm saying.
the magic of the shoey is gonna be blessed with blessed our friend group. I'm here for it.
Whatever. I'm bringing some Birkenstocks too, so I'll just throw those on there first.
Dogs out on Bourbon Street? You're crazy. Bro.
Oh, not on Bourbon Street, but Friday night when we go out.
Hopefully there isn't Pride again because that was wild.
All right. Listen. But
Busy
no, I mean
weekend.
the madness of it all was insane. I will say that it was just too many people.
It was.
But
I agree.
but
Definitely way too many people.
But it is a different weekend than it was last year, so that shouldn't be a thing. But I think I'm really looking forward to Frenchman Street more than anything. And actually, my friend, his sister lives in New Orleans, gave me a really good recommendation for like the best jazz music on Frenchman Street.
Spotted Cat, baby. Is that what it is? The Spotted Cat?
No.
That's where I was supposed to go. So
I got to look it up again, but. I think that concludes Squawk or C's this week. Got a little off track there at the end with the shoey, but I mean, it was, listen, it's all fun. Dude, Mike, again, congrats on your run there in Melbourne. I think a real actual top 8 finish is in your future soon. Thanks for coming on and chatting us with it. Kyle. Do you want to take us out? I'm just here. Let's just do it.
The win is coming.
It's coming. Yeah,
Mike,
we'll be there to drink beer at a Georgia shoe when it happens. So
yeah, Mike, where can we find you on socials? Where can we learn more about what you got going on?
Just find me on Twitter at ChristmasTCG. That's where I just post all my deck lists and a lot of unhinged comments. Check out the Ian Robb EV Masterclass that I do not monetarily gain from, but I helped put together. If you want to play EVs, the deck is really, really broken.
Oh, it's kind of like this Twitch channel. I also don't monetary gain from this, but I contribute.
I got a Twitch payout this week, so thanks, George.
Yeah, I really paid for it. You can find me on Twitter at PonyBattleChamp, PNYBTL Champ. I'm always posting some nonsense there. And Kyle, take us out. Where can we find you, brother?
Well, before I get to my stuff, I don't want to glaze over. Even if Mike doesn't win a regional, he is the Holland Cup champion winner, so we can never take that away from him.
I have won a event before at an international. So.
He has won an international event before. Do not want to glaze over that. But
by the way, speaking of retro, you're playing 2010 on Sunday, right?
I'm not playing 2010 on Sunday.
Why?
Because he's gonna be playing the top 4 on Sunday. Forehead.
Well. Top finals would be Sunday, but I've committed to Cube on Sunday. So
I can't wait to beat your ass in 2010, bro. I got your
because
number there.
George, I've found out that apparently your deck takes like a 90-10 matchup into my deck. So, for context, it's Gyarados against Chenlock or Sableye. So
good night.
Gyarados is broken, bro.
I've been informed that matchup is atrocious for my deck. So
good night, Sweet Prince. You guys can find me on socials at Koopa NJ across platforms. I tweet stuff. I commentate sometimes. I got a lot going on right now. I'm very busy between now and NAIC, but we stream here like twice a week. Just check out the content. Follow the channel. The NAIC vlog is going to be a movie. That shit is going to hit like a certain sort of paraphernalia in a certain time period. But that's going to be it for this week, folks. We'll catch you guys here next week. Yeah, this episode's probably going to go up on Saturday, given the time frame that we're doing this. But it'll be up to watch on Twitch. So if you guys haven't, I really appreciate everyone that checks out the VODs also. The views on that is also very helpful. You guys seem to be enjoying the content. And, we'll see you guys next time. Good night, everybody. Have yourselves a wonderful, happy Memorial Day weekend, too. So we'll see you guys next time.
Deuces.